stunning looks than swift.
Extraordinary, simply extraordinary beyond anything we've seen from the Indian cricket team at ICC Men's World Cups. Demolition job after demolition job, and this time to the other standout team of the tournament. But my God, are India playing in a league of their own? It's a difference of just 1 and 2, but they've flexed some serious muscle and they've brushed South Africa aside by a mere 243 runs. We have plenty to discuss on a day where Rohit Sharma decided to put South Africa out of their comfort zone. Bat first on a dry surface at the Eden Gardens, and Virat Kohli with an extraordinary achievement of levelling Tendulkar's ODI record for the most hundreds in the format. 101 not out of 121. He batted through, the others batted around him, and South Africa had little to no answer. In response came Ravindra Jadeja. Kohli with a feat that is unthinkable. Jadeja unplayable. India simply unstoppable. They win by 243. As we now look back at that game with Aaron Finch and Anil Kumble on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Matchday. I quite like that opening.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. That was, I enjoyed it.
That was very, very good.
I'm quite pleased with that. Yeah.
Almost as good as the Indian performance today. That was unbelievable.
Yeah,
that was
extraordinary. Extraordinary. I mean, let's start at the top of what I just said. We're seeing something that we haven't seen from the Indian cricket team, even from their glorious days, on just the ruthlessness with which they are dominating a World Cup.
Oh yes, total annihilation. So that's how it was. I mean, we spoke about two best bowling sides, two best batting sides, but this was something amazing, outstanding to see an Indian team doing what they did to South Africa. I mean, you don't expect that. I mean, this was like you said, the opening, whatever. I don't think I'll be able to repeat that. This was perfect. Perfect game for India.
Yeah.
Bat first, score 326, and then just rip the batting lineup. Your fast bowlers pick wickets, spinners come on, pick up Pfeiffer, and I mean, this was just ruthless.
Yeah, you said it our pre-game comments, Finchy, that today will be a good test for you on South Africa.
Yep.
There is, I guess, a greater effect of not just going down to India, but going down like this.
And batting second again. I think that, like you said, they're comfortable batting first because there's no expectation from their batting group. They can get out there and play according to the conditions. Batting second, there's always run rate pressure. There's always some other external factors that can come into your mind. And for me, to think that South Africa can win the World Cup, they had to put up a performance today. Not necessarily win, but just show something. And they were well short of the mark today. That was ruthless from India. Their fast bowling group, like this takes me back, well, just the Indian team in general. This takes me back to the great Australian side between 2003 and 2007, where they went undefeated through 2 World Cups. So it was just a demolition job time after time, and this Indian team is something else.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that is the only parallel we have of Ponting's team in 07. I think in 03, while they were defending champions, a couple of teams ran them close. In 2007, Anil, that was a disappointing World Cup for India. We can draw parallels now of this sort of utter domination being seen at a World Cup after 16 years?
Oh yes, this is certainly total domination. I mean, with the bat, with the ball, in the field, and even in terms of tactics. I think it's total domination. And South Africa, like Finchy mentioned, they didn't certainly come up when they were supposed to chase. And Quinton de Kock, again, holds the key. The 4 games that he has scored hundreds, they have done exceptionally well. But if the start doesn't come South Africa's way, they are unsure, and even against Pakistan, they barely crossed the mark, crossed the line. So yes, if you're playing South Africa,
you bat first.
Just bat first.
I want to come to the finer points of the game, which we will in a bit, but I can't help but think the stories beyond just how a certain batter might have been dismissed or what Jadeja did right, but just what this Indian team is doing to the rest of the tournament, how it's sort of growing expectation. You rightly bring up the Australian team. You would have been, what, 13, 14 when Australia won the 99 World Cup, I would think. And you then, as a young man who's interested in cricket, start watching a team that goes on to become world beaters. I'm just trying to think of whether we are seeing something really special in Indian cricket that may be spoken of for a long time to come.
Time will tell if they win the title.
They need to win it,
Then you can start talking about generational type players that will carry a legacy for a long, long time. But they've done nothing wrong so far. They've been clinical, and from the second over in the Australian game, when they were 3 down, 3 for 2 in 2 overs, they've been pretty unstoppable from there. That was the only time that they've given an opposition a sniff in this whole tournament so far. And I mean, there's been some teams that haven't been at their best throughout, but South Africa have played some very, very good cricket. And I just can't see how a team can get this bowling attack away either. With the brand new ball, they are giving nothing, and they're not getting wickets caught third man or caught deep square because teams are trying to smack them. Teams can't smack them, and they're getting out at the same time. So when the scoreboard's going nowhere and you're losing wickets, there's just nowhere to turn. They've got every base covered at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's the point here about the Indian bowling attack. We've seen Indian teams put big scores in the past. We've been blessed with batters. This is a bowling attack that is showing no quarter. This is a bowling attack that may be spoken of for years, that this was the best Indian display of fast bowling we perhaps ever saw in the format.
Oh yes, of course. And the three fast bowlers, right from ball one, they're on the money. The pace is there, the swing is there, and the length, line, everything is perfect. And they're consistent, keeping things simple. Even in terms of the three pacers, they're attacking the stumps all the time, and if you miss, they hit. You don't see that with other teams. Even with Australia, even with South Africa, not consistent 6 balls in one area. They're trying the outswinger, the inswinger, the line's different. As a bowler, you're trying. But this Indian team, the 3 fast bowlers, have been right on the money from ball one.
The simplicity of it is the beautiful thing about it all. Like, they're not trying anything totally different. There's nothing that you watch as an analyst or anything and you go, wow, that planning is amazing.
Yes.
They're just bowling the ball at the top of off stump, a little bit of movement each way, but it is fast, it's accurate, it's consistent, it's just sustained pressure the whole time throughout.
It's almost impossible for an opposition to throw a punch back.
Yeah.
You make. South Africa's innings from start to finish went nowhere with a top score of 14 from what's been one of the most feared batting lineups of the tournament. How do you throw a punch?
They were smothered. They weren't allowed to breathe out there, and when you get off to a bad start and you're chasing 300, and again, it's not like they were reckless trying to go after. That they didn't play many shots. They were getting out to genuine deliveries. So, opposition coming up against India, maybe you use your feet. Just try something different, which I don't expect India to change anything again. Shami doesn't change a thing anytime. He bowls with the seam bolt upright at the top of off stump, maybe a touch fuller, a touch shorter with the odd bouncer. People have been doing that for decades, but it still works, doesn't it?
Yeah, I heard Ricky Ponting says someone's got to make the Indian bowlers change their length.
Yeah.
How?
No, you first have to survive.
Yes.
So that's what's happening.
But they're getting batters out defending.
No, that's what I'm saying. So the batter's mindset is survival.
Yeah.
So that needs to change. It's in the mind. It's not the ability or anything. It's just that teams which are coming up against this bowling lineup are thinking, okay, I'm going to attack today, and the first ball is on the spot, and then you're struggling. You then are trying to figure out what's going on, and then the second ball's there, third's there, and then this over, next over, and then you go into a defensive mindset saying, okay, now I need to survive. And that's not happening. You're not going to survive if you just have that thought process.
I've been there as a batter, and particularly an opening batter, when you come up against somebody who has got the wood over you. And for me, it was Boovie and Trent Bolt. They had it over me for a long time. So your mindset when you walk out to the crease is, let me survive this guy, and I'll try and get runs off the other guys. So when they bowl rubbish at you, you're not in a position to score or hurt them or put pressure back on them, because your mindset is so defensive. Your footwork's slower, your decision-making's slower, you pick up the bat a bit later, because everything is just worried about survive. Good bowlers, they don't give you too many freebies. They don't give you many opportunities to get on top of them. And so you have to be able to take them. And there might be a point where someone has to start taking some serious risks to put it back on India. And who that is, I'm not sure. Like, I'm thinking from an Australian point of view, Head and Warner. Travis Head will put pressure on you because he'll be prepared to swing hard from ball one. But there's risks that comes with that. Maybe you get away to a flyer, and that's... India haven't been put under pressure, so that's the only thing that I'd be holding on to as an opposition. Maybe we can put them under enough pressure.
And even when you're looking to take the risk, it'll be in a high-stake game.
Yeah.
So it'll have to be a semi-final. And are you willing to do that and say okay, and then not worry about?
Somebody has to.
We're not going anywhere blocking them or seeing them out.
Yeah.
And here's the other challenge. Look who's coming after. Bumrah's wicketless today. In an all-out of 83, Bumrah is wicketless.
Yeah.
So here comes the second line of attack in Shami and today Ravindra Jadeja. I'll come to Jadeja in a second, but Mohammad Shami, who just rolls his arm over and becomes India's greatest ever World Cup bowler. I think Steve Armisen made the point that Bumrah's making, let me get the right frame, Bumrah's sort of creating the wicket and Shami's taking the wicket.
Yeah.
Something like that, to that effect. And you can almost see if Shami's your release bowler, and this is turning out to be an extraordinary World Cup for him.
Yeah, I think it was a blessing in disguise for Shami to get back into this playing 11.
Yeah.
And Bumrah, certainly, whenever Bumrah plays, wherever he plays, and whichever conditions he plays, batters will be circumspect early on when they are facing him. So that's causing, of course, that to roll in. And then Shami is brilliant. I mean, he's the presentation of the seam, the line, the length, and the pace. So if you're, like Finch mentioned, if you're just that fraction of a second late, then you're done. And you're done with the kind of accuracy that he bowls at.
What I'm sort of trying to understand is, Shami has always been a gifted bowler, and yet I've seen him being taken down in T20 cricket or even across the world. So what is different about this Mohammad Shami that doesn't let a batter get him away?
He's hitting the stumps a lot more, and he's never over pitching actually. He's always finding that really good hard length. It's such a disciplined approach. So in the past, I think when the ball didn't swing in particular, you feel like you can drive Shami early because he's either a good length or he's just a touch full. He'll give you some opportunities to hit him down the ground or through cover. You're just getting nothing. So it's hard to commit forward when you know it's going to be at the top of off stump every time. So you're driving with trepidation because there's slips in play, but you're already on the back foot after the start that Bumrah and Siraj are giving you as well. So, I mean,
extraordinary. Yeah, I think that Shami to Stokes at Lucknow in a 10-ball story sums up the what's going wrong for batters and what Shami's getting right. Ravindra Jadeja, 5 for 33. We've always known Jadeja becomes a threat to a different level when the surface is assisting. But now let's give Jadeja, the bowler, understand where his bowling has evolved and give him some credit. He comes on first change. And what are you seeing of Jadeja, the bowler, that has made him now India's bankable 10-over bowler in 50-over cricket?
I think we all knew that Jadeja is accurate. He lands on the spot all the time. I think what he's done exceptionally well in the last 1.5 years, especially in white ball cricket, even bowling to left-handers, even in T20, is the change of angle. You see him come a lot more closer to the stumps, and then he's ready to bowl that line to a left-hander, even to David Miller today. He's always attacking the stump. He's attacking to a left-hander. Earlier, he was very defensive to a left-hander. As soon as he saw a left-hander, his arm would start coming down and then start bowling quicker, whereas now, he is trying to get people out, like how he would want to bowl in a test match. And that's exactly what he has done. He's changed the angles, he's using the pace, change of pace, but extremely accurate.
Finchy, anything to add to that? No? You've played him, and you can see a difference here sort of all this while later. Maybe it's just an attitude thing, that Jadeja's looking to get wickets now as against just completing his complement of overs.
I think he hasn't changed a huge amount, but Anil said left-handers, he's becoming an attacking option. Against right-handers, he's just still doing the same thing. It's just bowling on middle and off stump with a hint of turn. He bowled Steve Smith with a beauty in Chennai. He gets Bavuma with a beauty. I know what that feels like. He's got me with exactly the same ball before as well, because you get so concerned with the one that skids on. So that's why guys are still batting on leg stump. They're afraid to get over to middle and off stump and try and cover the one that turns and back themselves to hit it. So it's a really difficult situation, because then you bat leg stump, you expose your off stump, and when it turns, he's unstoppable.
You almost get the feeling that there is a confidence. Confidence almost seems like a light word that is running through the veins of this entire Indian team, where almost nothing is going wrong. It's like their superpowers are amplified, and somewhere that shows in performance. You're seeing very few poor shots, you're seeing very few bad balls. Is it just a feeling that's now come through?
No, I think if you look back and sort of analyze critically here on the surface was not easy to bat.
Yes.
It had something for the bowler. It was stopping. But what Rohit did at the start was put straight away pressure back on the bowler. And that's something that somebody will have to do if they have to challenge India on any kind of surface. On a kind of surface like this, India is unplayable because of what you get out of the surface too. Even on normal surfaces, it's quite a challenge. So I think as a team, what everyone's doing is that, look, this is the way I'm going to play, irrespective of what. The confidence is high, and Rohit is leading from the front. And then you know that if you get out, you have Virat who can manage that entire innings. And then you have the ability and the quality of a Shubman Gill, you have KL Rahul, Shreyas Iyer, and then Surya. So and Jadu, I mean, at number 7 today, outstanding. I mean, 30 of 15 balls, and then picking up 5 wickets. So you know that your top 7 is really in form, and that's the ability that you have when you go there, and that confidence just oozes.
Yeah, I mean, I think even the most optimistic Indian fans wouldn't have seen this level of domination 8 games into the World Cup. What do you sense it's done to the opposing teams? You look at India and say, yeah, they're going to be favourites. And now with every game, including what they've done to South Africa, who is clearly the second best team of the tournament, what do you sense it'll leave as far as their potential semi-final opponents go?
Teams will think that they have to play 100% to have a chance of winning. If India play 100%, they win. Guaranteed. With the talent that they've got, the skill that they've got in their home conditions, if they play at their maximum, they win. The other team hopes that they can play at 100% and India play at 90%, and then you still might be 50-50. And the thing, just to touch on what Anil was saying, the confidence in everyone in the 11 to do their job is really important, because there's times when you play in a team, you go, wow, there's so much pressure on me. If I don't do it, this guy's not in form, that guy's not in form. That becomes an extra burden on certain players. The ability to free up your mind and play because you know that if I get out playing the way that I want to play, then that's fine, because Surya will come in at number 6 and get the job done, or Jadu at number 7. And I mean, don't forget, India had to restructure their team after a couple of games when Hardik went down.
Yes.
So it hasn't been without its issues either. So when you have to restructure your team, and it's happened seamlessly, the guy that you bring in, who is probably your 14th or 15th pick because you're comfortable with Shardul Thakur at 8, to go with 2 quicks, 2 spinners, and a bowling all-rounder, that's a big change. Because then your top 6 go, right, we've got to get the job done, and they do.
Yep, it's happened, and that nicely takes us to the first innings. A game set up by the story tale that I think a number of Kohli fans would have seen coming. But these things don't happen. But Kohli is king. It happens for him. On his 35th birthday, he's leveled Tendulkar's record. So let's just break down the significance of the feat. This is something we have not seen before. Yes, Tendulkar got to the number. Kohli, in a different era, has got there a lot quicker. And it can never be a fair comparison to compare 2 greats. We've just had the privilege of watching both in the last 30 years or so. But 277 innings, just to put things in perspective, to Tendulkar's 452. Rohit Sharma's number 3, the great Vicky Ponting. Jai Surya, who played for an eternity in that list too. But it's only Kohli and Tendulkar. Doesn't look like anyone's going to get near them for at least the foreseeable future. I've stopped saying it'll never be broken, because we thought at Tendulkar's time it'll never be broken, and here we are. Put it into perspective though. I'm sure fans would love to have the Kohli versus Tendulkar debate. Who was greater? Who was the bigger match winner? Whose hundreds were more relevant? How would you put it in perspective? Because that innings was something else. He's done it so much faster.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's a outstanding player, a great player in this format. He's outstanding. You see those records. I don't think any other player will even come close to what he's been able to achieve. Whether you bat first, yes, chasing, I think it will show a different perspective as well. So it's outstanding to have that kind of a record. And yeah, I'm not a great fan of comparing eras, and things have changed. You have rules have changed.
Yes, of course.
And there are different things now. But to do what someone has been able to achieve, that kind of thing in 277 innings, almost one in 3, one in 5. 1 in 5 is 100. Oof.
That's not so bad.
That's ridiculous.
Let's bring out some more numbers. Bring out some more numbers. Anil talks about chasing, which has always been his USP. It's what Kohli developed, this incredible reputation of being a match winner, a genuine match winner. Some of these chases were even ridiculous because of achieving it at a certain point for net run rate. We all remember Hobart against Sri Lanka. In chases, that's 2700s to Tendulkar's 17. In wins, that's 40 and counting. So that is just to break down the numbers for 2 great players. And I guess, again, I'm not willing to go for a Kohli v Sachin debate, but a fairer comparison is always Kohli against his contemporaries.
Exactly right. And I think that's the only way that you can compare eras. When you compare the best with the second best.
Yeah.
And we've got Kohli at the top of the tree in this current era. He had Sachin at the top of the tree in his era. And they were both miles ahead of everyone else in one-day cricket in particular. So difficult to compare them. I've seen more of Kohli at his absolute best. So what do they call it? Recency bias. It always stands out in that. But it's just an unbelievable feat. And like you said, 1 in 5 and a bit innings. That is just extraordinary. And that's getting 100. That's not. Don't worry about the 60 not outs or the 70 not outs in winning teams.
I think he has 71 50s, I think.
Yeah.
Or 70 50s.
To go with that, yeah.
70, 50. So what are we looking at here?
No, I don't know. Something
best
like that.
Best part of 130, right? 50 plus
something
score.
like that.
Give me a second. I don't want to get the numbers wrong.
Just check the numbers.
Virat Kohli ODI cricket, 70 50s and 49
50s and 49.
So that's 289 games.
And that's 1 in 2.
1 in 2 he gets 50 plus.
He gets a 50,
Every other game Kohli's got 50.
There's nothing to say about that. That's just stupid. That is stupidly good.
Yeah, it is. He is that good, and he's been that good for that long. Break down the numbers also. We've told you batting first and chasing. Venue-wise, that's always a nice thing to look at. We love our stats on ESPN Cricket Info. So how about home and away hundreds? They always count for more as a batter, I'm guessing, personally, Finchy, but 21 away hundreds in that. Like neck and neck for home hundreds, neutral venues there too. Sachin played a lot of his cricket in the UAE, extraordinary record that he had over there too in Sharjah. And number of countries, just sign of where Kohli's gotten to play. Never taught Pakistan, and the number of grounds, 32 and 34. Just a nice numerical breakdown of the hundreds, but as good away, never really felt a weakness, never felt like Kohli went somewhere and struggled.
No, because he's so good off the back foot, the front foot. Very, very few weaknesses. And I think the only stat that both players would really care about is hundreds in wins.
Yep.
Because there's no worse feeling than getting 100 when you lose the match because you feel as though you could have done more or you should have done this or that. That's the only thing that it comes down to. They've both won a World Cup in the format. Kohli might have a chance to win another one, and it's looking the favourite.
Likely.
Looking the favourite at the moment, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's in for India to lose. I mean, that's how they're looking.
Yeah.
You know, they've been outstanding in this World Cup. 8 wins, all. Although they were in tricky positions, the first one against Australia and then New Zealand to an extent. I think these are the only 2 teams or 2 matches where you thought, okay, maybe it's going to be a bit of a challenge here. They've looked comfortable, even in those wins. So, it's only for India to lose from here. I mean, they've been playing exceptionally well. And the way Virat has been playing, I mean, 3 back-to-back almost hundreds.
Yeah.
I don't think you can get any better.
He doesn't get tired.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't get tired.
It's an appetite of runs that we...
And that's the thing that is so surprising in the modern age where you play so much cricket and you throw in IPL and the amount of cricket that international teams play across 3 formats. The desire and appetite to day in, day out turn up and give you an absolute laser focus is extraordinary. And we saw him have a little dip in form
100%.
On the back of playing so much cricket. So it just goes to show how mentally strong Virat's been for a long time as well. Yeah,
I mean, also you've been privy quite from close quarters to his fitness routines. That is the other thing we've seen. We've never seen Kohli. I can barely remember him ever being ruled out because of injury. Or
you better touch wood.
Yeah, well, I don't think I have such powers, but but the longevity is something we admired of Tendulkar as well. In spite of having significant injuries to reinvent his game and still be a prolific run getter. But Kohli's fitness is also, I think, a great part of his legacy that he's achieved this.
Oh yes, absolutely. I think his fitness, his discipline in taking care of himself, the recovery. I think all of that count, and that's one of the reasons why he's been able to achieve all that we saw there over the last so many years since the time that he's made his debut. And from there, in the first few years, he made that transformation. He made that attempt to ensure that he wanted to become this, and he's only improved from where he started. When he first came in 2008, he was pretty chubby as a 19-year-old. And then I think 2012, I think he made that switch. And from there on, it's just been outstanding to see what he's been able to achieve.
Yep, and appreciation that has been showered from the very best as well. Let's just have a look at some quick reactions to the milestone. It's a terrific day for the achievement, which has only ever happened once before in the long history of this game. and it's fitting to start with Tendulkar himself. Well played to Virat. It took Sachin a year to go from 49 to 50, and he hopes that he goes from 49 to 50, breaks his record in the next few days. Chances are pretty strong. He's got the Netherlands at his adopted home in Bengaluru. Let's just have a look at a few more. As we look at Suresh Raina, of course, played so much with Virat Kohli, was a 2011 World Cup winner with him. And Raina says, remember every game he'd say, Paje aaj 100 banana hai. And well done to Virat. So beautiful, so elegant, just looking like a wow. Looking like a wow. Yeah, very good.
Apparently that's a modern thing.
That's the social media thing.
Leave it, we're dinosaurs on that. Robin Uthappa, Kamit Diawa, Kamit the King. These are all, of course, so many of Kohli's peers, teammates. It's extraordinary how most of them are now pundits. Kohli's still going strong. Yeah, let's look at a few more. Very quickly, Irfan Pathan, of course, regular voice on our Star Sports coverage. सचिन पाजी को कंधे पे उठाने से कंधे से कंधा मिला के चलने वाला शानदार सफर विराट कोहली का. Many congratulations to the chase master Finch. You know what that means. Basically, someone who carried Tendulkar on his shoulders and now is level, shoulder to shoulder with him in terms of achievement. Beautiful from Irfan. Akash Chopra is there as well, regular contributor on ESPN Cricket 4. Nobody has understood the pulse of ODI batting like Kohli. Ton machine. What a way to celebrate his own birthday. Well played. Yeah, and I think that's a nice last point that Akash makes. We go back to the appreciation of Kohli assessing that this doesn't need to be a 140 of 120. This doesn't need to be a 350. And at times the scoreboard, if you're 280 for 2, you tend to think, oh, come on, India should push harder, push harder. He's understood the pulse of the ODI game better than any of the other batters who are playing that role. Finch, and that's important.
Absolutely. And that's why he's the chase master as well. He assesses everything, calculates a run chase so well. And it's equally as impressive to do it batting first, because, like I said before, the modern day is go harder, push earlier. Whereas he says, no, this isn't the easiest wicket to bat on, so let's take some more time. And he said that in his mid-interview with Shreyas as well.
Yes.
In his partnership with Shreyas, he said it. We need to go a little bit deeper. This isn't the easiest wicket to just come in and stand and hit through the line. So, brilliant.
Yeah, and I like that interview that he did give Anshul Chopra, where he says, the communication is clear to me. So what you're doing is maybe from the outside you're thinking India can press harder, but the opposition then goes from we're 2 wickets away from opening the game because of India's tail to fine, now we just need to stop conceding boundaries. I guess that also affects how the opposition bowls.
It does, because it's not just about understanding what you need to do in that situation. He does that brilliantly. He understands the situation, he understands the surface, he understands the opposition. But what he does really well is also understanding your own team as to who's coming in next, what they're capable of, and how you can get the best out of the next, whatever, 30, 25, 20, 15, 5, whatever overs is left till he is there. So I think that's something that he's done exceptionally well, whether you've batted first or when you've chased.
What about South Africa now? Do we reassess at all how strong their challenge to the World Cup is?
Slightly. I think slightly. It's another falter batting second, and a big one in this case. That might leave some mental scars for the back end of this tournament. They're still a powerhouse, though. I think when they get the conditions that they want, when they get the game in their own terms, that they're destructive. They've still got all the tools there. It's just that question mark about chasing, and a few tactical mishaps today. I think that in that first innings where they could have put more pressure on India, made an effort to ask Shreyas and Virat to take a risk early, which they didn't. They just let them bat at their own pace and soak up a lot of pressure. Yeah,
I mean, you almost felt like there were nerves, almost evident with Marco Janssen's 5 wides and quite a few of the other things too, that South Africa were perhaps intimidated by this fixture?
Yeah, they were, certainly with the 2 batters there. They knew that they had to be on the money from ball 1, and that was the pressure. That's what pressure does to you, and then you need to cope with that. And obviously South Africa couldn't handle the pressure facing India in a not necessarily, there were not too much stakes on this game because you knew that both teams had qualified. So imagine when the stakes are high in a semi-final or in a final, then it becomes even tougher. So even, Bavuma has been a great leader for South Africa, but he needs to start contributing with the bat. You have Reza Hendricks, who's a very capable batter. He's had those partnerships, but he's not been able to get going as a batter. So Quinton de Kock becomes that much more important for South Africa in this partnership with the openers, because when Quinton gets out, Bavuma doesn't necessarily go deeper. Whereas with the Indian team, if you look at Shubman Gill and Rohit Sharma, Rohit Sharma gets out, Shubman Gill invariably gets a big score. So that's something that South Africa will have to do if they have to really bat well when they're chasing.
I'm guessing the only thing that the Indian fans will be thinking now, it's only a matter of time with how well we're playing. But there comes a World Cup semi-final, and what you don't want is India having an off day. Do you sense this team has covered every base and is prepared for that sort of stage, or is there still the possibility of an off day? They've not been tested. Is that sometimes a challenge? How do you sort of?
No, I don't think so. They're such a professional outfit. They've played a lot of cricket together. I think they understand what makes each other tick as well, which is really important. Rohit's a calm leader, so I don't think that you're going to see a team get overawed by a situation, or you're not going to see a team that gets too excited when things start to falter. If there's a hiccup with the bat or with the ball in a big game, I think Rohit's got the ability to calm them down.
And also the semi-finals. There were two venues that India perhaps could play, depending on who finishes fourth.
Yes.
The
likelier one is
Wankhede or even Eden Gardens. Both were 300 plus scores, and then 50 and 83 all out. So you can't. You go
in with some confidence, don't
you? You will certainly go in with a lot of confidence.
India's World Cup, for all practical purposes, and why shouldn't it be? They are playing a planet apart from any other team so far. But the semi-finals of a World Cup are a different stage. So let's see where Rohit Sharma takes this team from here. For now, they go to Bangalore and they play the Netherlands, who of course have enough to look forward to in this coming week too. It's a big thank you to Anil Kumble and Aaron Finch. Always a pleasure having Anil and Finch's thoughts on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Matchday. Let's have a quick look at that points table, shall we? It does some disservice to South Africa's net run rate too, which was above India's going into this game. That's a fair game now. South Africa did qualify as a result of Australia beating England in Ahmedabad yesterday, and they will in all likelihood finish in either second or third spot, and it is 2 versus 3 and 1 versus 4 for the semi-finals. That fourth spot could become very interesting. Australia play Afghanistan a couple of days from now, New Zealand play Sri Lanka, Pakistan play England, so keep an eye out for whoever finishes fourth to have the pleasure of playing India in the World Cup semi-finals. Colin Finchy, the next time I see you will be when that table should pretty much be locked in, but Australia and New Zealand along with South Africa and India, or do you sense there'll be the stars will align for Pakistan or maybe even Afghanistan?
Very outside chance for Afghanistan. I think they've got a tough couple of matches. I think New Zealand just sneak in on net run rate. All
right. Thank you very much for that, Anil. Thank you. We'll see you again very soon as well, and look forward to your company tomorrow. Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, important game for both those two teams. So look forward to your company then on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Matchday. Do download the mobile app. It'll have you covered with the very latest. Ravindra Jadeja is speaking to the press just as I wrap things up, so would love to hear from him and perhaps whatever plans India might have for Virat Kohli's birthday after a day where they did not put a foot wrong. They're off to Bangalore now. It's their World Cup to lose. Bye-bye.
Stunning looks, then swift